Okay guys, so we're back here to start our next assignment, and I thought I'd just quickly show you my finished slab mugs. So I've got them both sitting here. This is the initial one that I did, wrapping it around the can, kind of pre-testing the assignment before I gave it to you, and I left that one plain. But the one that I made during the video is just a little bit shorter, and I decided to decorate it with some heart shapes. And all I did was take a cookie cutter and some extra slab, cut out some little hearts, and then cross-hatched and slipped them all the way around the mug. So they finished off nicely. So now I'm just letting them dry slowly under some plastic, hoping that I don't get any cracks around the handles or where I join the designs on this one. So I'm going to set these aside real quick. Now what we're going to start is a slab box. So I have a couple of slab boxes here on the table, and basically they're all the same style box, they just have different handles on them. So you can kind of see inside. It's a nice little box you can use for storage or whatever you would like. And again, we're going to be using slab construction. But this time, instead of assembling the pieces while they're wet, we are going to cut out the pieces, then we're going to let them dry to the leather hard state. That's about halfway dry. The clay should still flex and bend a little bit, but you should be able to hold it up by its edge and it should support itself. And then what we'll be doing is assembling it to create our box. So again, another little example, pretty much the same box, just a different glazed color, made in a different year. So at this point, you're going to make yourself a nice big slab, which I've done already. Again, I lay down my guides and I use my rolling pin to roll this out so that it's a proper thickness of 1/4 inch. Then I cut one side straight, and that's what I'm going to measure my pieces off of. So what I've done for you guys in the assignment in Canvas is I will be attaching a PDF file of the pieces that you need. Now your box has 6 sides, a top, a bottom, 2 long sides, and 2 short sides. So you'll be needing to cut out 2 of each piece. So if you have a printer at home, you can print this out, you can cut the pieces out, and then you can use them as a template to lay down on your clay and then just basically trace or cut around them. So that's what I've done here. I've taken the same PDF and I've cut it up into the 3 different pieces that I'm going to need. Now the largest piece is your top and bottom, it's labeled as so, and then you have 2 long sides and you have 2 short sides. So what I'm going to do at this point is stand up here, I'll move my stool out of the way so it's a little easier to cut, and I'm going to start with my long piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay this up against my straight side, and then using my needle tool, my knife, whatever you're using at home, and a ruler, I'm just going to go ahead and line up on the edge here with the piece of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and cut along that edge. Now when you cut and when you're holding your ruler and you're pressing down on the clay, try not to press down too hard. You don't want to make finger marks into your slab. We're trying to keep the slab nice and neat and clean. So I'm going to cut the 2 longer sides first, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut the short side. Again, try to line it up nicely and go ahead and cut along that edge. And since I know I'm going to need a second piece that is the same size, I just extended that cut while the ruler was there. So I'm going to go ahead and take my needle tool and peel the paper up just nicely. I'm going to lay it back down again, line it up with the straight edge and with the edge that we've already cut, and then now I'm just going to line up my ruler and cut this out again. This one was just a little bit short, so just extend that. Okay, so I've got the 2 pieces that are the top and the bottom piece cut, so I can set this aside. So the next one are the 2 long sides, and the 2 long sides are going to be the same length. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue down this line, laying my pieces down and cutting them. Pretty simple so far. And since this is going to work out to be the same length, and I'm going to need to get a second one, I'm just going to go ahead and extend this down and cut that whole strip. Make a little less work for myself. Okay, and one more ought to do it. Now, if you don't have a printer at home, and you can't print these out so that you can cut out the pieces, then the measurements are on them. So this is 7 inches by 3 inches. And so what you would do is just cut one edge straight, measure over your 7 inches, 7 inches at the other end the same, make marks, line up on the marks, cut the strip, peel that away, and then measure your 4 inches for the larger piece, 4 inches, 3 inches for the smaller piece, and so forth. And you just have to measure everything before you cut it. So we've got the 2 bottom pieces made, or top and bottom I should say, and we've got the 2 long sides made. So now we need to do the 2 short sides. And you can see I used up most of my slab there. So I do have some slab over here that I saved from the last project, and I think it'll be the appropriate size that we need. For the last 2 pieces. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and then just carefully lay this here on my board. I'm going to cut off this excess down here at the end. I don't need that. And now I'm going to go ahead and line this up on the straight edge. I think this is fairly straight. I'm going to go ahead and just lay this piece down. Again with my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and line this up and cut off that piece as well. And all of your extra slabs of clay, make sure you're saving, because you can put them right back in your bag. Make a mark here. I guess I'll go ahead and cut this. And then just peel that up, lay it down, and cut it one more time. Try not to leave the paper templates or the piece of paper on the clay too long. If you can help it, do it quickly, because otherwise it will pick up the moisture and the piece of paper will start to kind of disintegrate on you. So we've got all our pieces cut out now. So at this point, all we want to do is wait for them to get leather hard. So if you have them on a board or on your bag, when you cut them out on a surface, then all you have to do is just let them kind of hang out this way. If you have some plastic, you can lightly cover it over the top, and that way it'll get some air, but it won't dry too fast. Now, if you don't have a large surface to leave them on, and you need to put them away somewhere, what you can do is get yourself some boards, if you have some boards at home, or if you have some newspaper, maybe some magazines that you don't mind getting messed up, whatever the case may be. And what you can do is carefully pick up your slabs. You can put them on top of a board, if you have the board or whatever you're using, and you can just carefully line them up onto the board to store them. And you can do the same thing with the other pieces. When you pick them up, be real careful. The clay is soft, it's moist. It will go ahead and change its shape if you're squeezing into it too much. So then, after you've done that, you can go ahead and either lay a paper towel over it, just so the pieces don't stick, or if you have extra boards, extra magazines, you can use more than one. So in this case, I'm going to carefully pick up another piece. I'm just going to lay it on top. I'm going to see if this last piece will fit here. Make sure one more paper towel. And if you don't have a paper towel, you could use newspaper, but just something like a paper towel. And then I'm going to put the last piece on there. So what I'll do, since I'm here at school all day today, I will leave these out so that they can get air and they can start to be getting leather hard. Once they're leather hard, then we'll be able to start assembling our project and making our slab box. So at the end of the day though, when I leave, I don't want to leave these out because they'll get too much air. I'll come in tomorrow, they'll be bone dry and I won't be able to use them. So at the end of the day, I will put them in a bag, but I will leave the bag puffed open with just a little bit of air in there. And that way they can continue to dry a little bit so they get leather hard and yet not get too dry. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just kind of set these aside. Those are the pieces. That's all we can do at this point. We've got to wait for the clay to get to the leather hard state before we can assemble it. So don't try putting your box together yet. Just cut the pieces out. Pretty simple. The hardest part is just making a really nice slab. And you might need to make 2 smaller slabs to cut out all the pieces. You may not get all the pieces out of one giant slab. So just be aware of that. So that is it at this point. And when these are leather hard, it may take a day or 2 days, sometimes 3. Right now we have rainy weather, which means the air is quite moist, which means that the clay is not going to dry out as quickly. So as a result, it may take it a couple days to actually get to the leather hard state. Whereas if we had sunny, warm weather, the air was dry like Santa Ana conditions, then they can dry up within a couple of hours to where they're leather hard. So it really just depends on the weather. And again, I'll show you when they're leather hard what they should look like, but they should support themselves. When I pick up one of the long pieces when it's leather hard, it should hold its shape and stand up. I could still flex it, but it should support itself. If it falls like that, it's not leather hard. It's still moist. So just be aware of that. You don't want to try and assemble it when the pieces are really, really moist and wet, because then your box won't want to hold its edges or its sides nice and straight. It'll look kind of flimsy and it won't come out looking as nice. So once these are leather hard, I'll be back with the next video showing you how we start to put them together. Until then, hope you guys have a great day.